I'm
Gemmy Fan,
and this is my
Gemmy Master Animatronics.
I work here.
Joe being videos.
Drew 65.
Everything in here has
Split gears.
and a
Trade with crystals.
one thing I've learned after 21 years, you never know what
Variant of the Gemmy animated Talking Douglas fur.
is going to come through that door.
Hey guys, it's the Gemmy Fan here on Gemmy Master Animatronics, and today what we're going to be doing is another start of a restoration over the 2010 life-size Jason Voorhees. Now this one in particular, it doesn't really have that many problems, but the main problem is the body turn. Now that, it actually has a split gear. It either has a split gear or a dead motor, because the motor moves sometimes, but it also has a split gear, so I don't know, it could be either one of those. But I do have another motor to replace it just in case, so we'll see how this pans out. Now, of course, I have them at half size just because it's clearly easier to access it. But I guess I will give you a short demo before I get started here. Oh yeah, I got him for 125, by the way. See, he works a little bit, but then the gear starts to split halfway. And you'll see what I mean. And as you can see, when I turn it, it doesn't even turn. Yeah, you guys can hear that all right. And that needs to be replaced immediately, because as you can see, it's temperamental. Like sometimes it goes one side, sometimes it doesn't go to the other, and all that needs to be fixed. So without further ado, let's get started on this thing. These things tend to be a little bit more difficult than the rest of them, just because of how big he is. It's a different body structure, so yeah. Okay, so as you can see, I got the cloth off here. And what you'll need to do is that you'll only have to pull the cloth off of this hand. Now you don't have to do it with this hand because it's a little bit more difficult, so you could just leave the cloth hanging right here. Unless you just prefer to do that to wash it or something like that, but I don't really need to do that. So yeah, that's the first step, and it's pretty much the same process here. Just remove this frame, which contains 4 screws, 2 screws on each side, and then start with the, take only the ring out of the head mechanism, because the head mechanism is just fine, as you can see. No gears messed up or anything. So yeah, so let's get to the body. So it's the same deal here, guys, with it's exactly the same as the Michael. Just remove these 4 screws. I would recommend a pretty sturdy drill to remove these, unless you want to spend 5 minutes unscrewing each screw, because these are fairly long, but I can understand that, because it has to be strong enough and long enough to bolt this part, which is the large portion of the body, onto the second part of the frame. So yeah, that's what I plan on doing with this one. So I guess we'll see about the motor. The motor honestly just doesn't even look very strong. I think I'll just end up having to replace the whole thing completely. But I guess we'll see when we get there. Alright guys, so it does turn out that the old motor's kind of shot. Like it'll probably still last a few more years, but you know, it's not going to be as fast, or it's not going to be as durable as the new one, which is actually right here. And you could buy these on eBay pretty much for $1.25 a piece if that listing is still available. I personally got 10 of these, and they're all the same motors, except the shaft is like maybe a centimeter shorter than this one, but it really doesn't matter because you can still fit the gear on there to make full contact with the other gear, so that's not really an issue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to solder these resistors from the old one on the new one here, so that way it'll be a healthy motor again. So yeah, I'll just see how this works out. Alrighty, as you can see, I got the all 3 of the resistors on, soldered in all 3 directions, so let's just see how this pans out. Okay, so after, I'd say about an hour and a half of testing it and redoing things, and I ended up using the original motor back again because I discovered that it wasn't that badly worn out. The main problem was there was a gear in there that was missing a tooth, so I readjusted that gear. I did not end up replacing it. I replaced the 10-tooth gear in there, which is also split, which hindered his movement as well. So I put a new 10-tooth gear in there and switched positions of the other gear, which didn't even lead to that tooth, and it works flawlessly. Like I don't have any issues with it. So now I got to just put it back together and see how it goes. But I'll go ahead and show you a good test run here real quick. And while I'm in this mechanism, as you can see, it works great. While I'm in the mechanism, something different has changed about these over the years. Because on the older versions of Jason, they actually used a belt for the pulley system for this arm right here. Well, for this one, they did a little bit of a change. It's basically two gears, one connected to the motor shaft and one connected to the actual gearbox itself. So as you can see when I move that, controls there. So that's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know if that's a better design or not so much. I mean, the only reason I think it's better is because it's gear controlled rather than belt control, because the belts would wear out so bad because it'd have to pull it all the way down and then, or like go all the way up again. So the belts would wear out like crazy, because I remember when I was working on the 07 Jason, it was the same story there. So, you know, that's, I would imagine that's why they changed the mechanism up a little bit, but just thought I'd point that out. So what you see here is the 2010 life-size 6'4" Jason Voorhees. Now this one in particular was sold, like I said, around 2010 and 2011, I believe, at Kmart as well. This is when they started distributing to other companies as well as like other distributors to sell. Because at first they started showing up at Spirit Halloween for ridiculous prices. You know, well, I mean back then it wasn't that ridiculous, but if they still sold these now, it would be like, I'd say about maybe around $350 to $400 at the most. Maybe even minimum, who knows, if they actually still sold these for the prices that they used to go to with the market nowadays. That's what I'm trying to say. But anyways, yeah, I got this actually in a lot of 3 this last trip that I made for 125 bucks. He was the first one that I knew that they had, because they sent me a picture. They actually sent me a picture of him. And yeah, he's really cool and all. He's just so much different than the original Jason that I'm used to owning, which is the 2008 model. I believe it's the 2008 model, but because he has completely different synchronization. And really, guys, you may think it's like a completely different build. They're built exactly the same. It's just the wires are switched. They're all reversed. For example, the machete goes up the opposite direction than the older one does. The head just turns from left to right in one signal rather than kind of twitching from left to right. And the body is the one that actually has the original head movement, but all of that could be reversed back to the original state of the original Jasons. But they just choose to switch them all up for some reason, which honestly I don't really like how his body just randomly turns like that, but I get the concept that they're trying to do. Maybe they just wanted to, you know, make things a little bit different for once in their synchronization. But just so you know, if you own one of these and are not satisfied with it, you can change it back. You can just switch all the wires back to the original positions and it should work just like any other Jason would. But I decided to keep it just because of the originality and what this particular Jason is known for doing, which is that side-to-side body movement, which is, it's just a lot different to me. So I just decided to leave it that way for the originality and for the, you know, for the purpose of it. But like I said, I did do some restorations on that. As you can see, I already included a couple clips beforehand of me replacing the body motor, which actually I ended up not replacing it. I ended up putting the original motor back because the motor was a little bit out of place and it wouldn't, the resistors wouldn't work right on it, so it would squeak and stuff like that, which wasn't healthy for the motor at all because that shows you it doesn't have any resistance. So I just put the original motor back in. I took the original motor apart, cleaned it, put it back in, and then put a brand new gear on there, which was also split. And, you know, that took care of that. And that's pretty much the only issue I have with this. But I filmed that one part that I was working on, showing you how to get it apart, this, that, and the other, which also goes for the other Jason. So that's really all I have to say about it. His eyes, you know, he only has one eye too. You could customize it to put 2 eyes in. I know Tyler did a long time ago with his, but he ended up selling it. But I'm glad to have both models for sure. And at the very end of this video, I'll include a bonus clip of the demo of both of them standing next to each other. I have a video of that on this channel. It's just privated, so I'm going to throw that in there as well. He's actually a lot quieter than the older Jasons as well. I don't know what it is about mine. Mine's just extremely loud, because the 2007 Jason that Donovan brought over was extremely quiet too, well, compared to mine, and so is this one for some odd reason. It's a little bit muffled. But that's really all I have to say about it, so I guess we'll play it one more time before we end this review. And you may be thinking, oh, his arm's broken. It's not supposed to be hanging to the side like that. That's actually the way it was molded on some of these. In some ways, they were molded on a little bit crooked because the arm kind of bends forward a little bit. But it's not because it's broken. That's actually how it was molded in the factory to fit on there. Which actually isn't all that bad, because it's like he's doing a side slash or whatever instead of just having it right in front of him. So it's kind of interesting, so I decided to leave it that way. Of course, I could have fixed it, but I just kind of... Again, I just wanted to leave the originality as it says. And it's funny because this model is actually a little bit taller than the one I have originally, which is the 2008 model, I believe. So that's pretty cool as well. And that's pretty much all I have to say about it, so we'll play it one more time before we officially end the review.